Hello, and welcome to this little presentation on my counter twist arm rig update. So what is update? I used a technique before which was pretty reliable already, but when I was testing some poses and doing some animations, I went to a point where I got some flipping in the counter twist. So let's get from the basic. If I rotate the arm, a counter twist rig is that it'll um, hold the volume here when rotating the upper arm, and this method already does a pretty good job in holding volume. So you can see I can do some pretty extreme poses with the arm, and it still hold net volume very naturally. But there are some poses where, so if this pose here, and if I rotate this back even a little bit further, bam, I get the twist. You notice the pop. And, you know, this is still a pretty plausible pose, so a human still can do this, but my rig can't, so I had to change this. I had to address this problem. And I got inspired to do some research on the solution by a video on Vimeo by Matthew Murray. He um, he showed a no flip IK leg, and the way he gone on his problem like gave me the magic idea for my problem. So I want to thank him here too. And so let's first of all show you how this system works. Let's show the joints. Let's show the counter twist bone. And you see here these three little bones on the bound arm are the counter twist bones. So the upper arm is skinned to them and not to the long arm itself, to the bone itself. And then these joints rotation X is driven by the rotation X of this little driver chain here. So this chain is parented under the shoulder. It has an IK down here on the elbow, and the pole vector is, if I hide the model and let me show you the pole vector, outliner, pole vector, here it is. So yes, there's the pole vector, and the system is that when I rotate this control, the locator goes with it, so does the pole vector driver, and our chain gets some rotate values. And the thing is, this method, I could also just very easily plug the inverse rotation X into these three bones, and it would give me a similar effect. But the problem is the probability is very high to get Euler flips on this, like what I got on the how I showed you before. But with this method, I reduced the chances on that significantly. But as you saw, they weren't gone away. So I needed to find a way to have this work better, to have more freedom for the animator, and to maybe have it like fix this on the fly if it ever occurs. So the way I thought about, Matthew uses two chains to drive a last one, so that's what I thought. Why not using two chains, two of these chains, and that one of them, like when I rotate this arm negative 70 degrees, like that one of these chains does also have negative 70 degrees, but the other one having positive 70 degrees. And then if this rotation reaches a certain value, just switching between those two influences. So this problem occurs, this flipping occurs because of the way the IK chain works in Maya. So the thing is that the IK chain does a pretty good job on whatever it does, but it's built in a way that the joint rotations will never exceed the go past the value of 180 or negative 180. They won't even reach that value. They will just approximate it, and as soon as it gets close enough, they will flip around to maintain the same rotation, like the same absolute rotation, but on small values. And yes, so that'll help us to fix this problem. Let me zero this out. And going on this is very easy. I just need to, let me first rename all of these components in the outliner here, show you to A. So this is up vector A. This is driver chain A. And lastly, let's do the IK here. It's IK A. So now let's duplicate all of this stuff. Duplicate this arm bone. Let's call it B and make it slightly larger on the on it so we can differentiate between both. Let's grab the locator up vector and pole vector and call this B. Now let's apply an IK and rename it to be the BIK. So we can also parent this here. This the position of this IK doesn't change, but as we come here, we want to, as I said, have them rotate inverse to each other. So how we can do this? Well, it's easy. We just need to switch around their components. That meaning the pole vector and the bone itself. So on bone A, you see it's parented to the shoulder bone, and the pole vector is parented to the arm bone, to the bone itself. So as you can see, I have a broken hierarchy here, and that is basically to have more freedom on working with smooth IKFK switches, but that's another topic. So yeah, that's just it. I think we now got this finished. We just need to apply the pole vector from B to at first we need also to parent this pole vector here and parent the B bone to this. And now let's apply the pole vector. Where's my pole vector locator? Here to here, constraint pole vector. Let me just double check the rotations. You see we got some rotations here. We can fix those by plugging the inverse value into the IK's twist. So now we got zeroed out rotations. And if I rotate now the arm control, you can see both of them change rotate. Let me rotate this more extreme so you can see like negative 40 here. And then we have 40 on this one and positive 40 on this one. So that's it. That's our initial key. So now let's go to the node editor. Let me grab one of these little bones here, view its input connections. So this is my little counter twist rig. It's nothing fancy here, and you can see here it's driven by this bone A. And here's where we want to change things. We want to have both arms drive this setup. So let me grab this arm B, plug it into the node editor 2, and let's remove just this connection. And here's where the magic will happen. We will now add a condition node. And let me explain this node real quick. It's very easy. You have a first value. This will be compared with the value in the second term using this operation. And whether the condition is true or false, it'll output you the set of values. So in this case, like we have first term is 0, second term is 0. Is 0 equal to 0? Yes, it is. So we will output color if true. If I plug a 1 here, the node will output this color, false color, because obviously 0 is not 1. So let's get to the connections. We have here joint A. Let's plug the rotate X, because this is a driving rotate value, into the first term. Let's also plug this into the color if false, color if false r, this is obviously this works with colors, but we will just use rotation, so r represents x. And then b in color if true. And now of course we need to change our operation from equal to greater than or less than. Doesn't matter. We'll just need to inverse things if we choose any other. And now that's it. So we can now output the color R and plug this back into our counter twist system. And let's check how this works. So let's view the model. I can now rotate this, and if I get back to this test pose that I had, let's hide the joints. You can see no more flipping, no more weird stuff happening here. I can go even past the value the rotation of a natural human, so it gives me this freedom in this axis. And the thing is though, if I rotate this just in X, you can see now it fails already here. It doesn't. You can rotate along here, but as soon as I go negative, it'll flip. So here's where we want to change the little thing in the condition node. Let me select the condition node, and you can see here we still have this value of 1 here. That means if our rotation from the bone A is greater than 1, it'll flip to the other side, and you can see what happens here. I can stay in the negative and it'll not do anything, but as soon as I go to the positive, it'll flip to the other chain, and as we clearly can see, we cannot use the other chain for this. So what I can do here is, oh no, please, no, Maya. Oh, thank God it didn't crash. Plug here, give us here a larger value, like 90. And if I select this now, I can rotate this further. But as soon as I reach the value of 90, it'll flip. And the cool thing on this is my arm twist control. So here with this control I can offset the rotation value. And on this, here's a finished version of this rig. And you can see I added this little value here. And what this does is, let's do this here real quickly, just some clicks. RMO, let's call this for range. No, let's give it a more meaningful name. Like this. Float, okay. And now what we will do is plug this range of motion value. Here's our twist. We can plug this range of motion attribute into the second term, and what this will allow us to do is change the fix the flipping errors on the fly with an animatable attribute. So it means we can plug in here 90, and you can see now the flipping is gone, and I can rotate this. So you can see this rotation is already very, very critical. I mean, I don't think if too many humans can rotate their arm this way back, but if we needed to if we ever have a shot where we needed to have such a rotation, and the animator saw this, they just need to go here and see, our auto rotate value is 96, but the range of motion only goes up to 90, so I can give me here up to 100. Another this thing is fixed, and if I can go here and if I go here past this value, you can see now our auto rotate value is on 104. we need just to increase this too, and we can do even slight values, so maybe 105. This would fix this problem already. You can see here we now got back to negative. And if I load the pose, this still does work, everything is fine. And we now even added an extra control where the animators can fix the arm rotations, the arm flips on the fly. And I love this because I always like having controls to fix certain little things that happen, because I like having automated features, but I don't like being only relied to those automatic features, because they tend to not be very robust when it comes to certain poses. So yeah, this is the rig, and I'll do another video now. I'm presenting this character rig more in depth, because this is it's like the newest character rig I'm working on, and I'm really excited about this because it's like the most complex rig I've built so far in terms of joint-based rigs, and this rig does a pretty good job already in having very intuitive, natural human motion. But again, this is stuff for another video, so expect this soon. And let's just add a little thing, because this video is also about the known flipping IK legs that I mentioned in the beginning, where Mr. Murray addressed this problem. And there was another dude from CG Terminal posting a video, and maybe you saw that too, on no flip knee pole vectors. And he showed this in with another technique like the one from Mr. Murray. And what he did was he used this such of a, what is this locator here? It's a distance locator. Let me hide this. I used the locator here using a point constraint down to the leg control, and this locator then would drive the pole vector. But one thing that that dude from CG Terminal forgot about is that on his constraint he didn't use any up vector, and that would lead to flipping again depending on certain poses, where, because by default the up vector is y, and that means if the leg, this pose is not natural at all. But if this leg is like here, the joint chain would point in this direction, which is the y, and as soon as I go on the other side of that y-axis, you can see how shit is starting to flip. And you can solve this problem really quick. Let me redo this setup that he did. You create just a locator here. You can even parent it to this bone. But I don't want to do this because this bone is going to drive something. So let me just apply where's my outliner? Apply a point constraint from this to the locator. Then let's grab this foot control and do an aim constraint. So let me explain the aim constraint really quickly, at least the attributes that we need to do. And you can see here we have aim vector and up vector. And vectors are like directions in a very simple description. And you can see here this locator this is a locator's word axis. It's pointing x in that direction, z in that, and y in the up direction. And well, if we can see here aim vectors, we have these three input buttons representing x, y, and z. And aim vector is the vector that the control is going to point with. And up vector is the secondary vector controlling the other axis, the rotation along that vector, along that aim vector. So that means if we choose aim vector x, the locator will use its x-axis, that means this one, to point down our foot control, and its y-axis, which is this one, to point up in the words y, because we chose word up vector to be y, and the word up type to be just an absolute vector, which means this locator is always going to try to point upwards on the word scene. And we can change this, because we need to change this here from vector to object up. What this means is this locator is now going to always point on another object. So what we can do here is having this locator point with x down to our foot, and with its negative y onto this hip bone. That way it'll never flip, because the position of the relationship between these two bones will never change. So let's just step in here my spine bone, and of course we want to maintain offset off, so this rotations are plugged in instantly and with no offset. So we now choose apply, and now you can see it's pointing down to the foot control, which is down here, and with its x-axis, which is y-axis, is trying its best to point to this spine bone. So now what we can do, this is already working. Let me introduce the local rotation axis on the locator. Let me hide the joints. And you can now see, if I move the foot up, it's doing a very good job in never flipping. So what we can do from here is use this locator to drive this pole vector. Let me view this here. Let's delete its initial. I used another setup which didn't work at all, so I'm very thankful for these videos on Vimeo. And let's choose this one. Where am I? Ah, here. From here to there, and let's choose a parent constraint. Ah, wait, I need to remove this and this. Up. Delete. Okay, now from here to there. Constrain parent. Make sure everything is set to. Now we can maintain offset on, because we need this here. And now what this will do is, as you can see, the pole vector is always going to be on that side of the knee. If I view the bones again, you can see how the knee, even if I go past here, the knee never goes in the other direction. So very robust system. Just need to think of this one last feature, that the up vector needs to go up to an active object on the rig to really never flip. So that's it. I hope you found this video interesting, and if you have any questions on stuff from this, please post comments, post me emails, whatever, and expect the video, a complete video on this rig, and some tips from me on how to get more realistic movement and more realistic motion from your rigs and from your characters. Then this video is going to be up there soon. So until then, have a nice time, and bye.